Happy Memorial Day. Now let's watch a werewolf movie. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with 2025's Wolfman. This is the first in our werewolf week for our end of the month movie week. So for those of you who are new and didn't see the Zatoichi week at the end of last month, what this is this is a new thing we're starting where the final week of each month we are going to be doing an entire week of films on top of our normal reactions. We normally do films every Saturday and Sunday, but during this week it'll be Monday through Friday instead. There will be no weekend movies because we're doing 5 during the entire course of the week. So, like I said, the theme this time for this week is werewolf films. And there's for how much I love werewolves as like a concept in horror, there's a surprising amount of werewolf movies that I've just never seen. It actually kind of caught me off guard how many of them there are. Now, this one is new, though. This one just came out this year. It is Wolfman, and this is a donation reward for Anonymous. Our good friend Anon, who wishes to remain in secret, has donated for this one specifically. And I have heard mixed things about this. I don't know, like, spoilers or anything. I've heard mixed things, though, in like, a general sense. Some people do really enjoy this, but there's some people who really didn't. Like, I've heard there are people who, like, considered it, like, one of the worst films, horror films to come out in recent years. And then there's some people who's like, oh, it's not that bad. People are over-exaggerating. And I think this kind of goes with a lot of movies, if not all movies nowadays. I think a lot of people go in expecting something from films, whether through trailers, synopsises, etc. And if it doesn't match those expectations or surpass them, then they automatically see it as bad. They automatically see it as a bad movie if it doesn't at least completely match what their expectations are. And the problem is, a lot of time nowadays, people's expectations going into movies are just too fucking high. They're way too damn high because people think that you have to have, like, the best movie ever. It has to be a 10 out of 10 or it's not worth watching, which is bullshit. Movies can be a 6 out of 10, a 7 out of 10, and still be really enjoyable. It doesn't have to be perfect. But people have these expectations, and unfortunately, a lot of times in recent years, recent decades even, people have, like, also gone into films, like, already having made up their minds what they think about it. And I've talked about this before, but it's because of the advent of critics. Critics used to be, like, a lot less of a factor, but within the realm of, like, the internet becoming bigger, especially YouTube starting in 2005, critics have become such a massive deal to where it's like, not only with movies, but with TV shows, with video games, with any kind of media, people will look out for critic reviews prior to ever even seeing the movie, and that will determine whether or not they like it, which I think is bullshit. I think that's stupid. Determining whether or not you're going to like a movie based on a critic's review is just absolute lunacy. You should only determine whether or not you like a movie based on your own experience with it. Nothing else. The problem is people go into movies because of this, expecting to either like it or dislike it ahead of time. Because if the critics say it's good, they're going to automatically think it's good no matter what. If the critics say it's bad, they're going to automatically think it's bad no matter what. They're not going to form their own opinions. They're just, puppets. And it's sad. But it feels like critique of film and, again, shows and games and stuff has become less reliable over the years. And it it feels like so many people just never give things a chance because it's like, oh, why bother? This critic I really like said it was bad. I don't even need to see this. It's like this could have been a movie that you loved that really spoke to you in important ways, and you're just ignoring it because a critic said it was bad. That's stupid. I don't believe you should form your opinions based on anyone else's. You should always make your own determination based off of your experience. And this is why a lot of times a lot of my views on a lot of movies tend to be very different than the popular view. These are the kind of reasons why I think The Godfather is heavily overrated. The kind of reasons why I think Suicide Squad 2016 is a fantastic film. And so on and so forth. Because I judge these movies based only on what I think of it when watching. Based only on my personal experience and how much I enjoyed the film. Because to me, that's all that matters. Most of the time, I don't even look up critic reviews and stuff until after. And even then, it's not going to like change my view because my view is, again, sculpted based on my experience while watching it. And it feels more freeing and more like genuine to view movies this way, for me at least. If you like to view movies from the lens of a reactor or a reviewer rather, I can't stop you. And I'm not going to tell you you're inherently wrong if that's how you enjoy taking in film. But I'm also allowed my opinion. I'm allowed to think it's stupid. I'm allowed to think that it's ridiculous. Because to me, it is. To me, it's not truly experiencing a film when you've made up your mind on it, like before even seeing it. And again, the same goes for any kind of media. This is why I don't watch most trailers nowadays, too, because they spoil everything, and it's like, you already are going to have, like, opinions on the film before seeing it, because the trailer is going to tell you everything you need to know. Like, trailers should be like short teasers for the film and not be giving you all this information. But I mean, all of this stuff is easily avoidable. It's like, oh, you don't like watching trailers? Then don't watch them. I don't. Don't like listening to reviews before you see a movie? Then don't listen to them. I don't. It's that simple. But I'm still allowed to speak my mind on it. I'm allowed to have my opinion on it. And I'm allowed to voice my displeasure with how it's gone. That's perfectly allowed. So, with this movie, I've just heard people mention it because when a movie's been out long enough, you hear people talking about it. It's something you can't help. But I have not looked at any actual full review. I have not looked at any critics' thoughts. I just heard, like, stuff on Twitter and whatnot, and Blue Sky. And it's just, like, the vaguest of, like, posts, just talking, like, oh, I didn't like this, or I thought this was actually pretty great, or stuff like that. So I am going to form my thoughts on this movie based on how I view it. Now, I don't know if this is like a full-on remake of like classic Wolfman movie, or if it's like its own kind of thing. I don't know, like how, like intense I guess this gets, like if it's like super gory or whatnot. What I know about this film is basically that it's a Wolfman film. That's pretty much it. I don't know who stars in it. I don't know, like, what the design of the werewolf looks like, or wolfman, I guess. Which I have heard that that's also divisive. The design of the wolfman is divisive. I have heard that, but I have not actually seen it. So I will judge that based on my own view as well. But yeah, I'm hoping to enjoy this because, like I said, I do enjoy typically werewolf stories. I think werewolves are hugely underrated, and honestly, in a lot of cases, I like them more than vampires, which I know that's the kind of the eternal debate. But I think they're super underrepresented. Like vampires are so much more like widespread than werewolves. There's so many more vampire stories in the world. And so I'm glad that there are so many werewolf movies that I haven't seen that I'm able to do a week like this for that theme. I think that's just really exciting. Now, the last thing I'll say before we get this started is that I am not going to reveal what the theme for the next one, the June uh, movie week, will be until the final video this week. In Friday's reaction, Friday's werewolf movie reaction, I will reveal at the end of that what the theme for the June movie week will be, which will be in the last week of June. So, yeah. I will reveal that then and not before. Right now, we're focusing on the werewolves, so let's get this started and see what this film has in store for us. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, yeah, before anything, I want to say that this movie is clearly themed around um, the cycle of abuse. With the father having been, like, you know, emotionally and mentally abusive towards Blake, and then him having trouble controlling that anger and stuff in him as well towards his daughter at times. And the werewolf aspect of it is used as a metaphor, even showing that it, like, his father became, you know, a werewolf and turned him and everything. It's very clear with its themes here, and like really really handled it well with the writing and the presentation of that. I think it really like nailed that aspect of it. The visuals were phenomenal, like the visual effects with the transformation, the different ways that we saw that through, like, again, nails popping out and claws taking their place, um, the bones morphing underneath the skin, as well as just the general gore effects that came with it, like with his arm and everything. Fantastically done. Um, I feel like one of the biggest things, like I said in the pre-thoughts, that was divisive about this film was the design of the Wolfman, of the transformed state. But I liked it because it felt more grounded. It wasn't just like the standard old school Wolfman, which like had like the wolf nose and hair, like a shit ton of hair everywhere, or like a werewolf kind that is actually much more wolf than man in a lot of ways, like where it's like just a bipedal wolf in all practicality. I don't tend to like those designs as much because they feel less possible. Like, I know that sounds weird when you're talking about a movie about like mythical creatures like werewolves, but it just like it feels less grounded with how like a transformation like this would, I feel like would occur. It's like they're just making them look like wolves because that's the concept. A werewolf, a man who becomes a wolf, or I guess a woman or envy or whatever. But um, it feels uninspired a lot of the times. Here we get a design that feels more grounded in like, okay, this is more what I would expect it to look like. With like the jaw like almost like breaking and dislocating and jutting forward through the movement of the bones. The different features like the brow kind of pushing out a bit, hair falling out but then growing in other places. It's like that feels more believable. And there's even different stages to it. This movie pretty much goes throughout the entire like transformation sequence almost. But honestly, I genuinely believe that by the end, Blake was not fully transformed still. I genuinely believe that because of what his father looked like. His father was clearly much further along than he was. You saw that with like the way his fangs looked and the way his like body like shape was with the bone changes and everything. Like it still wasn't like the old school kind of look, but it was definitely further along. Um, and so I think that he still had a little bit to go, and that's why there was still those little signs of humanity in him. He hadn't fully changed yet. He hadn't 100% transformed. That's why he was able to like make it clear to his wife and daughter at the end there that he wanted to die, that he wanted this to end. And again, being a metaphor for like stopping the cycle of abuse. Mind you, like maybe in reality we shouldn't like try to like say like death is the only way to stop the cycle of abuse or anything, but I don't think that's necessarily what's trying to be said here. But you still get the point, you still get the theme of it. Um I like how we get to see from his perspective. That was like one of the best decisions of this film. Getting to see from his perspective and seeing how like he's not understanding people, seeing how he like can see in the dark and how he even visualizes his prey in the case of like his wife and daughter. It really sells how different he's become. How much more monster and less man he is. It's a really fantastic way to depict that. Um, I also like the pacing of this film. This movie like starts off giving us like a good portion that's just about introducing us to the family dynamics, both from him as a kid with his father and then to him as an adult with his wife and daughter. We get to see their dynamics and how like the again that cycle of abuse through how his father treated him to how he's unfortunately treating his wife and daughter at times accidentally, how it kind of carries over, which again is brought back later with the werewolf being his father. I really like the time they put into that, but then coming to the the forest, coming to Oregon, where everything is like really starts to kick off. Derek doesn't survive very long, um, and we start to like see like a lot of the movie take place like through the timeline of his transformation. And again, I thought that was a really good idea because it allowed us to feel the tension of his ever growing uh, transformative state and his loss of sanity. it allowed us to feel more for the family rather than if it were like almost an instantaneous or transformation that like happens within even the scope of like a couple minutes. It allows us to truly like connect with it a lot better. It allows it to feel more like intense and sad even. It just it really nails those emotional beats. And like it's not like super scary, but let's be honest, most horror movies aren't. Like, let's not kid ourselves. The vast majority of horror films are not actually that scary. Like they're like a lot of the times they might be more disturbing or sometimes upsetting in terms of the content they show. But it's actually rare for a horror film to be scary, at least for me. I find very few horror films actually scary. Now, some of them like will showcase frightening content, but again, it's not so much content that's gonna make me jump or like shaking or like holding myself. It's more gonna make me just like nauseous and upset. A lot of times when horror films like show like content that actually bothers me, it's more for like a moral and ethical situation than it's scary. It's rare that a movie actually scares me. And so I didn't go into this expecting that. And yeah, it wasn't really that scary, though some of the situations and some of the moments were frightening. And if you were putting yourselves into those shoes, into the shoes of the characters, yeah, like obviously would be intensely terrifying. But like you because of this movie does so well at making you empathize and feel for the wife and daughter seeing this transformation and seeing him like completely lose himself. It's like you do feel for them in a way that allows you to kind of like in a way understand their fear. It's not like super scary to you, or I guess to me, but um, but you still feel the fear from their reactions to everything, from their concern that eventually turns into terror. And I think that's a good way to do it. I think that's a really strong way to handle this at that point. And I feel like I feel like there's not really much else that could have been done to make this work better at this point. The setting was perfect, the score was perfect, the actors were fantastic. The cinematography and direction of the scenes were great. Like pretty much every like choice that was made just worked in my eyes. And I'm not saying like this is the best horror movie or even necessarily the best werewolf movie, but it was really good and really like just gave an intensely strong um performance, for lack of a better way to put it. So yeah, I really really liked this. I thought this was really well done, really well handled, and it's almost wild to me that this is seen as divisive because I don't see why people would dislike this, but it's all subjective. Like you're allowed to dislike any movie or show or game or whatever else you dislike, but I do worry that, like I said in the pre-thoughts, there are a lot of people who went into this movie hearing people review it poorly and just made that decision not to like this movie before they ever even saw it. And you know there's some people out there who haven't seen it and still say that this movie's bad. Just because their favorite reviewer has said that it's bad. Their favorite critic. You know there are people who do that. And I I just don't understand how people can judge a movie without like seeing it first and judging it based only on that, only on their like experience with it. And some of the people who don't like it probably just don't like it, and that's fine. That's fair. That's perfectly reasonable. But those aren't the people I'm talking about. Like you got to realize that too. I'm specifically talking about the ones who did prejudge it based on other people's reviews. I'm talking about the ones who specifically decided they weren't going to like it just because their favorite critics said they didn't like it before even seeing the film. And so their perception of it when watching was already skewed and gave an unjust perception of their experience with it. It just, you're not going to get an authentic like feeling for a movie if you've already made your decision before you've seen it. And again, that's why I try to go into everything I can as blind as possible. This is why I tend not to watch most trailers. Why I don't read most synopsises. Like there are some movies out there, some shows and stuff that I will watch stuff for. Because it's like I already know I'm going to like this. This is entirely up my alley. But then there's some that I don't know. It's like I don't know if I'm going to like this movie. I don't know what I'm going to think of it. So I'm not going to watch any trailers to it. I'm going to let the movie speak for itself. And I think more people should do that. I really do. And definitely, again, don't listen to reviewers. Like, I don't know, like, again, why people said that they don't like this for those who did. Again, all I saw prior to this was like just people on like social media like saying like, "Oh, I didn't like this movie." It literally that level of vague, not giving any details and whatnot as to why. And then some people saying like just as vaguely, "Oh, I thought this movie was great." So it's like I don't know either way why people were saying what they were saying, but I I went into this determined to like make my own decision, and I have, and I love it. I genuinely think this is a fantastic film. Really well made, like really well like handled, but the problem is even if I'm in the minority on that, or even if it's again very mixed, like almost half and half, it's like it unfortunately is going to affect things. And that's the worst part about it all. All these critics who like influence people's thoughts before they even see the movie. It's like I hate that shit because it does affect the films and how well they do. And it affects how well these studios and these actors are treated in the future um, when the films are like poorly received because of this kind of stuff. It's like a really good movie can end up getting completely screwed out of it by shit like this. And there's like a part of me that this entire time, these afterthoughts, has been wanting to check out what the critics actually have said. But there's also a part of me that doesn't want to check that out. And not that it's going to change my opinion, but I just I'm afraid of what they're going to say. And I kind of want to just let my high of how much I love this run for the time being. Maybe I'll get to it later. Um, Maybe I'll have checked out like a review or something on YouTube by the time this ends up going up on the channel. So by the time you're seeing this, maybe I won't have. I don't know. But all I'm saying is I really love this film. I thought it was like fantastically made, and I really think that they just knocked it out of the park. And hopefully, the rest of the movies this week for Werewolf Week continue to um, have that same level of quality. I genuinely just don't know. I don't know how that's going to go. We'll see. Um, but unlike with the Zatoichi week, I'm not going to tell you what the movies are ahead of time. Um, with the Zatoichi week, we're doing the Zatoichi films in order, so it's easy to know what the next one's going to be. With this one, we're just doing a bunch of like varied werewolf based films, so it could be anything. And so I'm going to keep it a secret. I'm not going to tell you what we're getting to next. Um, but like I said, there will be one movie reaction every day this week, Monday through Friday, and there will be no movie reactions on Saturday and Sunday, just Monday through Friday. On top of all the normal series reactions and stuff we get to on the channel as is. But all of that being said, I would love to hear your thoughts. So tell me in the comments below what you thought um, of this film of Wolfman. Let me know your feelings on things or whatever regarding the way it was handled, regarding the way characters like behaved or whatever. Because there were some things in here that were obviously very tropey, but that's fine. Like, you're not gonna find a film these days that isn't tropey to some degree because it's like it's just it's 2025. Movies have been going for so long that that's just going to happen. So I'm okay with it as long as it's not like too egregious, and it definitely wasn't here. It was only like a couple moments. Um, but but I don't think those couple moments hurt it in any way, shape, or form. So, like I said, let me know your thoughts down below. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See you all next time.